On this episode of Locked On Angels, we get to hear from you, our everydayers, about the picks our favorite team made in this year's draft. Plus, we're giving you the names and the details of every player taken by the Angels from rounds 5 to rounds 20. And we're discussing why the scouts aren't always right. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to give back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become a Locked On Everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube and leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with us and be a part of the conversation.
Thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Hey, we're here talking Angels baseball 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, every single weekday. We had a lot of draft coverage, and we got more today for you. We're going to talk about the 5 through 20 round draft picks, the picks from rounds 5 through 20. Also, scouts. They're not always correct. And so we're going to get into that conversation in our second segment, but we also want to hear your thoughts on the draft. And so we have thoughts and responses from our everydayers, and we'll give our responses to those responses, response inception. Michael, let's get into it.
All right, let's start with Mark Bachner on YouTube. He is an everydayer. He said, I wasn't a fan of the Tyler Bremner pick. He wrote, count me against the people that are pissed at the Angels draft pick. The obvious choice was sitting right there for them once the Nationals passed on Holiday, the future of the team at third base. And then at Swimboy Free felt the same way, even shared some baseball wisdom from his dad, John. He wrote, some people are just committed to losing. That was my dad's direct quote when I informed him the Angels picked Bremner. And he then said, if Cleveland, Houston, Dodgers, or Tampa Bay made this pick, I could justify it more. But the Angels, nah. If you're going to try and develop a pitcher, then go with the higher upside and already more developed Seth Hernandez. So question, John, what do you think he means by when he says, if Cleveland or Houston or the Dodgers did this, I could justify it?
Yeah, it's teams with a proven track record of developing pitchers, Mike, and certainly Cleveland is one of those teams. And Dodgers, they have a lot of pitchers. They're good pitchers, but there seems to be an epidemic of injuries through their up and down their system that even they are trying to figure out as well. Houston, they just seem to have an endless supply of pitching coming up this season. From, we saw Hunter Brown a little bit last year, but this year he's been dominant. And then as they've lost pitchers and players, they've been able to bring up pitchers and players this season. So I understand what Scott is saying here in terms of if this was a different team, then I would trust them to develop a guy like Bremner. But here's my thing. I am torn on the idea of blaming Perry Manassian for some of the ways that development has gone on in the minor leagues. Remember that when he got hired, he brought in a couple of driveline guys. Bill Hessel was part of that. There was Ryan Axelrod was part of that. And there was one more, and they were all driveline guys trying to up the game of development and pitching development across the minor leagues. Then Troy Percival came in over the offseason 2 years ago and said, what is everybody doing with all these iPads? And they should do it by the eye test. Well, not long after that, Mike, the driveline guys were gone. They got picked up by teams like Tampa Bay, and then we brought back Dom Chidi. And there has been, a difference in philosophy between Dom Chidi across the minor leagues, who is the minor league pitching director, and Barry Enright at the top of all of that. So there's a disconnect there. And I think Perry was trying to go one way. A veteran Angel came in and said, you shouldn't do it like this. And how do you think that went with Artie Moreno, right? And he probably said, why are we paying these guys to be on their iPads? And obviously that's not what it is. Obviously, it's not just people sitting on iPads and looking at stuff like that. They have the data, they have the statistics, and they translate that for the players. So in my opinion, I think that if you're going to blame anything on a lack of development, especially pitching wise, I don't think it needs to go towards Perry Manassian because he was trying to go one way. Somebody came in that probably has Artie's ear and decided to make them go another way. And so, yeah, I think I'm with Scott in the sense that you probably could have taken somebody who's more of a sure thing, and it would work out better for the Angels. But let's wait and see. Let's wait and see with this guy because by all accounts, and in the days that have come after him being selected as the number 2 overall pick, a lot of people have said, like, he's right there with Cade Anderson and Jamie Arnold, right? And those guys. So it's not as if the Angels didn't get one of those guys and they blew it. It's no, this guy's right up there with them. And so anything could really happen when it comes to the Angels and these pitchers.
Yeah, that's what some of our everydayers said. They agreed with you. Let's be patient with Bremner. Bill Morton wrote, was a big surprise to see Tyler at number 2. Most of us were assuming that it would be Seth Hernandez. I would have taken Seth, but after the Angels got pitcher Tyler Bremner, I see that he's got a lot of potential. And obviously with him losing his mom a month ago to breast cancer, that was really heartbreaking. You just got to root for this young man to find success and happiness. I'm really hoping that he can become a big part of the rotation. Tyler's pick could potentially be an under the radar steal.
I saw a bunch of people who were upset about this pick. Somebody in response to that, I might have been on Reddit, Angels Reddit. Shout out to Angels Reddit, by the way. I like Angels Reddit. It might have been there where somebody said, don't be mad at Tyler Bremner for getting picked number 2 because he got picked by a team, right? And of course he wants to go high. And so it's not, in a weird way, it's not his fault he got picked by the Angels or got picked at number 2. So we need to root for the kid. We need to be on his side because he's an Angel now and we want him to have success.
Yeah. At Angels Ducks fan 1969 wrote this, John. This is where scouting comes into play. Bremner may show some developmental promise. Just because someone dominates in college doesn't mean that their abilities will translate to the pro level. Tons of top prospects disappear once they get into the minor leagues. Maybe the Angels see something in Bremner that most people missed. Everyone needs to take a breath. Maybe Cade Anderson's Tommy John surgery was the deciding factor for not picking him up. Now, I can hear the collective eye roll, John, when the phrase, maybe the Angels see something that most people missed. I guess the question I would throw back to you is there's a lot of distrust with this organization. Should that change because Perry has had some good drafts and has some effectiveness with Neto and with Shawnuel and with others?
It's what comes after round 1, right, Mike? It's what comes after that hasn't yielded a lot of success. And look, his first draft, he took Sam Bachman, and everyone said, oh, this guy's got injury red flags all over him. And here we are 4 years later with injuries that have stopped Bachman from reaching his full potential so far. I think that he was great out of the bullpen in 2023, and he's been great out of the pen this year as well. Still a chance to be a starter, but you and I have both said about Bachman that the shoulder issue seems to be what's keeping him back from being a starter. It was a thoracic outlet syndrome, Mike. And so when I hear the phrase, the Angels see something most people missed, they're obsessed with makeup. They're obsessed with, the mind of a player. They're obsessed with, the adversity that a player faces, if their mental toughness. And I don't blame them because they've had a lot of, not to be rude, but mentally weak players on the field. They've had a lot of that, Mike. Guys with all the talent in the world that we've seen. Remember Sandoval's 2022? Remember Detmer's 2022? They had some killer seasons that year, and we all thought, all right, they take a step forward in 2023. We're going to get rolling. Even Jose Suarez had a great 2022 for a 5th starter, and then a year ago, he was going, I don't know what's wrong with it. I don't know. I
thought I threw out that curveball great. I thought that changeup was awesome. Yeah.
I thought that curveball that got hit 500 feet, I thought that was a good curveball, right? Yeah. It's just not mentally tough players on the field. And so perhaps that's what is being prioritized with this Angels organization is like, let's get some mentally tough dudes in this organization.
This was an interesting one, John. At Brainworms Media on YouTube brought up an interesting parallel between the Angels draft and the Ducks draft. They wrote this: the Ducks had the number 2 pick a couple of years ago, and everyone was raving about Fantilli, the number 1 college prospect and seemingly obvious choice. But the Ducks went with Leo Carlson, a lesser hyped 18-year-old Swede. They believed believed that he had a much higher ceiling, and they're on track to be right. They also took Seneke with their 3rd overall, which shocked everyone. He had a monster year in the minors, quote unquote, and people say if he was in draft eligible this year, he would have gone top 3. I hope Bremner proves everyone wrong. I loved that connection between the Ducks and the Angels. And then everydayer Vincent wrote this. He spoke about Tyler Bremner being from UC Santa Barbara. He said, UCSB plays in the same league with Cal State Fullerton, UC Irvine, and in Southern California where baseball is strong. I don't get the comment that he plays in a weak league and plays weak opponents. I'll take SoCal baseball with any other geography in the country. No weak competition here.
Yeah, I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
100%.
It's just that was the consensus comment that was coming out a lot, was like, well, he's faced some weaker competition. Well, then let's see, because Vincent's right. There has been a lot of great players to come out of Southern California, specifically UC Santa Barbara with Shane Bieber.
Yep.
And then Cal State Fullerton. We had some great players there, of course. Mike, even our hometown of Yucaipa has had a lot of great guys come out of high school. Taiwan Walker, anybody still in the league? Maybe not as great as he used to be, but
Mark Tien was another one. Yeah,
exactly. Matt Davidson was there for a while. I know that his career didn't go that long, but he was really highly touted. So yeah, I'll take SoCal baseball over any other area of the country as well.
And then our favorite everydayer, James Pack, we went bowling with him at the Logan O'Hoppe Bowl. He brought some calm to the discussion. He wrote this on yesterday's show. Way to talk people off the ledge, Halo Bros. It's not worth us judging something that we don't know the results of for a couple of years. John, do you think that the initial reaction is justified, though, because of missing on Holiday, not getting him or not getting somebody else, not getting a Seth Hernandez? I know that it's been a couple of days and we can calm down and go, Bremner's not a bad guy. It's just maybe not the number 2 pick that everybody was expecting, and maybe not the number 2 pick that the Angels should have selected.
I agree with that. I think that with number 2, you had your pick of the litter. I've said that since, what day is it? Wednesday now? It's Monday. I've been saying that since Monday, right? Like, look, I get it. Number 2, I wouldn't have taken Tyler Bremner either, but at this point, the Angels obviously have something they like in him. Whether it's 2 or it's 12, Mike, the fact is that you got to get results, and the Angels have to get results out of this guy. Hey, you took him at 2, so he better be worth 2.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think what this draft proved, John, is that the Angels, they're just going to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
They're going to go get the guy that they want to get. Doesn't matter what the scouts say. Doesn't matter what Jeff Ellis says. It doesn't matter what Taylor Blake Ward said, right? Like, they're going to go get the guy that they want, right?
But Jeff was the closest.
He was the closest, though, yes.
Putting him at number 5. So, shout out to Jeff Ellis of Locked On Guardians. And the fact that, we've got some good minds here at the Locked On Podcast Network, especially across the MLB channel. And the truth is that when it came to Bremner being drafted, when he got drafted, Jeff was the closest with number 5. So I'll take that every day of the week, Mike. But again, like you said, the Angels are going to do what they want to do. Now, a lot of people will assume, well, they're just going to rush this guy up through the minors and get him in the major leagues. I think, and I made this point the other day, I think that Bremner is similar to a prep player, because right now he's got a killer fastball. He's got a killer changeup. He's got a slider that is fine, but everybody seems to think that it has potential to be better. And a lot of fans, again, I think I've seen it on Angels Reddit, saying, you know what? Of all the pitches that the Angels can help a guy with, it's probably a slider or a sweeper. And so this guy has some work that they can put into him, and it's everything that you could want out of a prep player. And I think that he actually has a really high ceiling, which is the gamble you take with a pick like this. It's the same gamble you take with a Seth Hernandez. I mean, the guy, his ceiling is, well, that guy's going to be an ace, right? With Seth Hernandez, but you got to get him there. And with Bremner, you got to get him there. And I don't know if you saw the video floating around of his changeup going to work, but it's a pretty killer changeup, Mike. And we did talk about a circle change with a different pitcher, but Weaver had himself a circle change back in the day. This changeup, it looks as nasty as Weaver's. I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Coming up, we are going to talk about who the Halos took in the 5th through round 20. There's a lot of guys, a lot of interesting players, and we're going to get to that in our third segment today. Today's show is brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site that's made for skilled trades at supplyhouse.com. Whether it's plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, supplyhouse.com is the most reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands. You're going to find exactly what you need. And if you are a trade pro, you can join their free Trade Master program. It offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Just go to supplyhouse.com/TM to join that free Trade Master program. And if you're going to order supplies like plumbing, HVAC, or electrical supplies, you can do that. And then when you check out with our promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order at supplyhouse.com.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Can I just say that Hank Aaron tribute was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, so rad.
On a baseball. Yeah. Like the projections on the field and the firework that followed the path of his home run. That was awesome.
They made up for that cringy player introduction at the beginning. Listen, having the players just stand there while Ludacris is rapping and Jermaine Dupri, and I'm a fan, right? I'm a fan, but these guys are like, I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know. And then they're like getting introduced and there's dancers around them high-fiving. And it was just seeing their smiles as they came out. They're like, this is so cringy. Like they were uncomfortable. You could tell.
When my buddy Julio and I went to the All-Star game at Dodger Stadium 3 years ago, all we got was a flyover and the cast of Top Gun Maverick. So that Hank Aaron tribute was way better. So Mike, whenever the fans don't like a pick, they turn to what the scouts say a team should have done. And, we referenced it yesterday. Pirates fans were ticked off that they drafted Seth Hernandez. And I was like, what are you talking about?
We'll take him in a heartbeat.
Yeah, you guys want to trade? Yeah. But they talk about the player the scouts said the team should have selected instead. But the scouts, they don't always get it right, do they, Mike?
No. Here's a couple of examples, Angel examples. Mike Trout was drafted in 2009, and some of the narrative around Trout was that he had exceptional speed and a potential for power, but here are some actual scouting reports for Trout leading up to the draft. Questionable in his hitting ability, particularly his tendency to bail out of his swing. He's unsure whether he will develop enough power for the major leagues. Trout's raw skills are, quote unquote, good, but we're unsure if he can adjust to a higher level of competition. Trout has played against weaker competition in the Northeast, and it's a reason for his inflated numbers. John, Baseball America in their pre-draft handbook had Trout as the 80th best high school prospect, and even on draft day, they weren't fully convinced of his hitting potential. So how'd that work out for you, right? They missed on that one, didn't they? How about a second Angel, and how the scouts saw him? Albert Pujols wasn't regarded as a great pick early on. In fact, Russ Bove, a scout with the Milwaukee Brewers, gave Pujols a D in terms of impact and projected him to be an eventual major league utility player. Bove believed that Albert was a ninth round pick of ninth round value. Considering he fell to 13th round, then this would have been a steal if the Brewers went and got him. Bove rated Albert Pujols' fielding higher than his hitting. He gave Albert a 40 rating with his hitting, which meant that Bove thought he would be a below average hitter in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, pretty funny that this is a Milwaukee scout saying that. And then Pujols went on to terrorize the Brewers and the whole NL Central for an entire decade, and then some at the end of his career as well. So it just goes to show between those two things, Mike. Yeah, you know what? Maybe some of those things might have been true. Yeah, maybe Trout did, bail out of his swing at one point, but the kid was 17, 18, 19 years old when he's getting scouted. It's not as if they can't improve. It's not as if they can't get better. It's not as if a team can work with somebody and help them improve on these things. That's what development is. That's what makes this work. That's what makes the baseball world go around. But Mike, there's also been times where scouts actually loved a player and they were wrong. You got some examples there, don't you?
Yeah, Mark Apple was drafted by the Astros first overall in 2013. Scouts said he's polished, had a strong 4-pitch arsenal, poised to move quickly. But what actually happened is that he was very inconsistent and then eventually got injured. He retired without debuting, though he did come back and debut in baseball in 2022 with the Phillies. Now, here's a name that you may not remember, but I remember. Todd Van Poppel was selected by the A's, 14th overall in 1990, was going to slot in with a huge starting rotation. Dave Stewart was a part of that starting rotation, amongst others. Scouts said future number 1, powerful stuff, is going to dominate for a decade. What we found out, he had a really great fastball, but he had no control, and his secondary pitches just never developed. He ended his career with a 5.58 ERA in 11 seasons. John, the conclusion is this, that scouts aren't always right. So even if you're like, it should have been Holiday, it should have been Willits, it should have been, we have to just wait and see, right? And it doesn't mean that they were wrong about those guys, but it does mean that we just have to wait and see, which is really important because tomorrow's show, quick tease, we're going to give you some updates on who the Angels selected last year and where they're at. We're going to give you the successes and we're going to give you the failures. We're going to see where the scouts were right and where the scouts were wrong.
Here's something that I think is significant about Todd Van Poppel is the fact that, he had the elite fastball, control wasn't there, command wasn't there. Mike, from all of the scouting reports I've seen on Bremner, great command and great control.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of watching guys walk the bases loaded, especially starting pitchers at the major league level, right? And so if we're going to start there with that baseline of, hey, he's got a killer fastball and he's got a killer changeup and the slider needs some work and he also needs to, develop that 4th pitch. It's going to happen in the minor leagues. They're going to give him some sort of 4th pitch, but I'll take command and control over that all day.
You know what I'll take, John? I'll take him when he gets 2 outs in an inning, actually getting the 3rd out and not walking that guy and then not giving up a hit, right? That happens so often with the Angels. Jose Soriano is the guy that does that pretty often, but Jack Honowitz as well. Like 2 outs, they're doing great. And then all of a sudden, a 4-pitch walk. What are you doing, right? So if Bremner can do that, he'll be my favorite Angel of all time.
Goes back to makeup, Mike, and it goes back to, I think for the most part, Soriano does have that mental toughness, but we've all seen it. When a game does not start out his way, especially at home, he lacks, something's not right. Translating from the bullpen to the mound, he falls apart very quickly and he never seems to really recover. There have been times where he has, but for the most part, it's a wild ride for 5 innings and he gets up to, about 95, 100 pitches. And it's going to be pretty hit and miss with Soriano sometimes. And then sometimes he's electric. And then Jack Honowitz, funny enough, a Billy Epler draft pick, right? I think it was 2019 that he was drafted. And look, I don't have anything against Jack K. In fact, he had a really impressive second half. And that's why we were all having the conversation of, hey, can this guy do it again to start this season? I'm glad they gave him the chance. Now, I know he was optioned to AAA. We'll see what happens when the season picks up again on Friday. But the fact is, I don't really know who they have to go to other than maybe Carson Fulmer in the rotation as like to slot in there, unless they plan on bringing Jack K back. But it sounds like, he was optioned. And so maybe they're going to take some time to work with him, which is what he really needs. But again, there's a very big difference between some of the picks that we've gotten from Billy Epler and then some of the picks we've gotten with Perry Manassian. They've really leaned into that whole makeup idea for better, for worse. And, we've seen it work at the major league level with guys like Neto and Shonowell and even Christian Moore. I know he's hurt right now, but he's got the mental toughness to be there. And so hopefully this is it's a strategy that I think will help the culture of the team. You want guys to be in this clubhouse who have that mental toughness. It's kind of risky because, you're really relying on mental toughness and makeup to take you places. But again, I think that there's a really distinct difference in some of the guys that Perry has drafted and Billy Epler has drafted. We'll see if it pays off for Perry, but so far, he's really great at the top of the draft, really uncertain at the back half of the draft. And On that note, we'll get into draft picks 5 through 20 here in just a minute.
How about getting put in the driver's seat in your finances? Monarch Money is going to do that for you. It's like having a personal CFO. They're more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You get to track all of your accounts, investments, spending all in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you can also build your wealth and take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com. You're going to get half off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Promo code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year.
We got a lot of draft picks to get to, and so Mike and I are going to rapid fire these. We're going to shut up and just rapid fire these picks for you so that you're informed. Shout out to Thomas Murray and Taylor Blake Ward, of course, TBW, a Locked On Angels Hall of Famer, one of the former hosts here. They did a great write-up from the Sporting Tribune on a lot of guys that some of the other draft boards and write-ups didn't have. So shout out to those guys for making this happen. Let me start with a 5th round selection. CJ Gray, a right-handed pitcher. They say electric athlete with raw arm and immense upside. Incredible arm speed, gets a power sinker into the mid-90s, up to 98. Woohoo, I like that. Keeps arm speed with a changeup, making it a raw, above-average pitch. Athleticism should aid control issues and tap into upside. Extreme variance arm with big upside.
6th round pick was Luke LaCourse. He is a right-handed pitcher, has a slider with 34 to 3,500 RPMs, rotations. I mean, it's phenomenal how great this breaking ball is. And then he's got a fastball that has a high spin rate as well. It lacks velocity, though. It's always upper 80s, low 90s. They're thinking maybe possible starter or fallback to maybe middle or long relief.
7th round pick, Lucas Maldstedt, right-handed pitcher out of Clemson, a sidearm reliever, among the best college relievers and closers in Division I baseball, lives off deception from the hip-level slot, where he utilizes upper 70 slider almost exclusively. A prototypical sidearm reliever who has a high floor, plus command allows deception to create outs.
In the 8th round, the Angels selected Isaiah Jackson. He's an outfielder. He's a good athlete who can man center field for the long term. There's some strong side platoon upside, maybe with a left-handed power bat. He's got big league tools, and at a minimum, they believe, Taylor Blake Ward and Thomas Murray believe that that's a lot that the Angels can work with.
Yeah, they got Slate Alford, third baseman in the 9th round, had a career best 331 average, 440 on base, 649 slugging, 19 home runs, 16 doubles in 2025. At 6'3", 240 pounds, physical guy, no shortage of natural strength, plenty of bat speed, generates quality contact. You like to hear that. A 90th percentile exit velocity of 107.6 miles per hour, has plus power to the pole side. Please stick at third base, Slate Alford.
10th round was Nick Rodriguez, a second baseman. He's got a sound approach, sprays the ball all over the field, had a career year last season with 18 home runs, 22 doubles, hit 368. His bat speed is good, and he's a sound defender at second base. That's where they're projecting that he will stick professionally.
Yeah, 11th round pick was Alton Davis, left-handed pitcher, tall, thin, wiry, funky college southpaw reliever. 2-pitch mix, blends a low 90s fastball that touched 97 and 99 in short stints, and a mid-80s sweeper. There's looseness in the delivery, aiding to projecting better command, though it's firmly fringe currently. This seems like a relief-only profile that might get a taste of starter development to the mid-minors.
In the 12th round, the Angels got the guy that I'm going to root for no matter what. Talon Haley, a left-handed pitcher. Get this. Had Tommy John surgery before his freshman year in high school, where he learned to throw right-handed just so that he could continue to play baseball. At the end of his recovery, he was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and continued to play baseball while undergoing chemo and radiation. Talk about makeup, right? In December of 22, he was declared cancer-free. To cap it all, he tore his left UCL, which kept him out of his junior season. Aside from that, He's one of the most talented prep arms in the nation. He's going to work a low to mid 90s fastball that plays up to create some carry. His curveball is a plus offering. Changeup is fairly advanced. Will need to improve his command in order to reach his lid, which they believe is a middle of the rotation kind of guy.
Next up, you got Xavier Mitchell. Southpaw sits low 90s with a fastball, plays up from a deceptive arm slot. Curveball is a swing and miss weapon. Repeatable mechanics, which is what you like to hear as a pitcher. Strong athlete. TJ Ford, an outfielder. He was the 14th round pick. A career 376 hitter in high school, a 528 on base percentage last season, 8 home runs, 4 doubles, 5 triples, and 123 plate appearances. Good speed on the base paths. Listen to this, a 60-yard dash time, 6.08 seconds, and he should develop as he gains more size as he gets older.
15th round was Mikey Casino. He is a right-handed pitcher, 35th best player and 6th right-handed pitcher in the state of Florida. He has a fastball that reaches 95, averages low 90s with a 3/4 arm slot. Finished last season throwing 48 innings and 93 strikeouts with just 18 walks and 11 earned runs.
16th round was Gage Harrelson. He's an outfielder, more hit over power with a feel for the barrel. Fringy power, some swing and miss that needs attention and development. He's a plus runner, covers plenty of ground in the outfield, can steal bases. He's toolsy, and he could see some fifth outfield type profile right there. And he's got a left-handed swing. 17th round, Cole Raymond, a right-handed pitcher. He's got a low 90s fastball to set up a tight slider. It flashes above average, and he's also got a changeup as well. 18th round, Angelo Smith, a right-handed pitcher out of Central Florida. Hard-throwing pitcher as a fastball reaches triple digits. He's got 1 start to his name last season because he primarily worked out of the bullpen, but a 2.83 ERA, 24 strikeout for the Knights last year. Mike, round us out with the last 2.
Yeah, 19th round with Ivan Tatis, a shortstop, and he ranks 25th overall in the shortstop rankings in the state of Georgia, and his development could have him learn a couple of positions outside of just being shortstop. He's also played second base. And then the 20th round, the last pick, Sam Tukian, a right-handed pitcher out of Ole Miss, projects to be a relief pitcher for the Angels. He hangs his fastball around the mid-90s and has a slider that hits the mid-80s and also a curveball that hits the low 80s.
I like that name, Ivan Tatis. I'll take a Tatis in the Angels system. Let's go. All right, ready? All right, we got through all the picks. Well done, my brother.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Now for your next listen, check out the Locked On MLB show with our friend Sully. And then, of course, Friday, Locked On MLB Game Night. We'll be back, get you updated on all of the games, every game, every night, all season long.
Hey, give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels. Connect with us at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Whether you're watching or listening, come on over to today's show, get in the comments section, because that's where we got our comments in the first segment from, was our wonderful YouTube comments section. So thank you for participating in that. And if you haven't, jump on over there, find today's show, get in there, because it's the best way to get in touch with us. Mike, what do we have on deck for Thursday's show?
One of our everydayers suggested content. We're like, that's a great idea.
Heck
We're
yeah.
actually going to look at last year's picks and see where they're at right now. Being patient. It's been a year. How they doing? Were some successful? Were some not successful? We've got all of that tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
All right, we hope you'll come back and join us for that. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here, everybody, and we'll see you back here on Thursday.
In the 21st round, the Angels selected John Frisch. He's a loopy left-handed thrower, plays right field, and sometimes catches the ball.
Yeah, that's true. Accurate.